Listen, we have a great show lined up for you. I'm your host, Kim Jacobs, better known as the Balance Doctor. And all of our guests that come on, they're either people that have overcome some tremendous odds in their own lives as they balance this thing called life, or they're experts and they're here to share tips and strategies that will help you better balance and manage your life. Grab your virtual seats and let's get ready for some real relevant and relatable content on today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Hello, everyone. Hope you all are having a great day. I am super excited to be here with you all today on the Kim Jacobs Show, and where we're bringing balance to the world, one household at a time. How are you, Sharon and Natasha?
Doing well today.
Great. Y'all look good too. Both of you look like you've been on some kind of vacations. Well, I know, Sharon, you always look like that because you're the self-carepreneur person. So you got this thing mastered. And Natasha, you look like something is happening, like you're just radiating over there.
Oh, thank you.
Is it because you have a day to yourself, possibly?
Maybe being free from all my teenagers this morning in the classroom might be it.
You never know. But it sounds like, at least backstage, that you absolutely love working with the teenagers that are assigned to you.
They bring me such joy.
Oh, and it's nothing better than being able to be in an environment where you feel like it's a joyful experience versus drudgery or torture. You're like, oh, what is happening to me? So this is good. All right, listen, everybody, grab your virtual seats and make sure you let everybody know that the Kim Jacobs Show is on the air and we're getting ready to have a great episode. It's Freestyle Friday. So what does that mean? That means that we talk about topics that matter to you. We also talk about things that we bring in some experts that will share some of their knowledge and tips and strategies just to help you get through the weekend, through next week, and just through life in general. So I am excited about us having two of our experts here today. And pop in the comment section, what are some things you want to talk about? What are some things happening that's like, I have to get this off my chest and we need to discuss it some kind of way. So feel free. I see you, Candace. Good morning to you. So glad to have you. I know for me, I can tell you one of the topics that I probably need to talk about is hot flashes. I can have a hot flash. Oh my gosh. Unmute yourself, one of you experts, especially Sharon. What in the world? Tell me from a self-care perspective. I think I take great care of myself. But at the end of the day, I can have a hot flash that can make me feel like I'm in a furnace.
Yeah, those are one of those things that comes up and women have to deal with. And I do have to say that even though I'm in that age group, and actually I bypassed it, and so I didn't experience hot flashes. If anything, I may have experienced night sweats when I was a little younger. That was the other thing too. But I know a lot of women really do deal with that. So it's kind of like, you put certain things in practices, and the only thing I can tell you, just keep practicing and know what they are, and know that, there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah, I need mental help, Natasha, when it comes to.
I feel your pain. I haven't had a lot, but they're not fun. Yeah. I'll tell you something that helped me, increasing my water intake, and I will not cook with turmeric until I'm past this stage in life.
What did you say at the end? Because I was grabbing the water.
I said I won't cook with turmeric because I find it heats me up. So I actually used to drink a little bit of it every morning to improve circulation, and I ain't doing that till we pass this lovely stage of life, because I don't know how many times it's cold and I'm like, I'm just gonna go stand outside at church in the middle of service, because I'm like, if I sing one more note of this hymn, I'm gonna feel like I'm in hell, and I'm trying to avoid it, which is why I'm here trying to worship Jesus. But like, it's not fun, that experience. I had one time I was in a hardware store, and I'm like, these people are going to think I stole something. I'm like sweating. I look guilty of a crime I didn't commit. Like, it was not fun. I'm trying to talk to the young man, get directions, and I'm starting to feel it come down, and I'm like, this is not good. This is not good.
They're like, keep an eye, aisle two.
Right. The sweaty, guilty lady. And it's like, no, she's just at a certain stage in life where that internal combustion does what it pleases.
And then when it goes away, it just goes away like it never happened. I'm like, that, in my opinion, is almost demonic. I'm like, I rebuke you. Because I mean, it's ridiculous to be able to have something come upon you that can rise up and in like no time, just whoop, gone, like it never happened.
What makes me laugh is when I get to the point where I feel it coming, and I'm like, if I so much as think, it's like I freeze. You'll see me like this. And people are like, what's wrong? I'm like, I can't talk right now. Talking will make me sweat.
And tell me, okay, again, y'all, it's Freestyle Friday here. So we're just having some conversation. We're going to hear from our experts with the topics that they're going to talk about. But we're talking about things that also matter to you because it's Freestyle Friday. And for me, I'm bringing up a topic that matters to me personally, which is this whole menopause, hot flash, and what in the world. So it seems to me, Natasha, that's when people want to talk to you the most.
It does. What's interesting is what I learned younger was that you look to your mother for how you're going to experience it.
Right.
My mother didn't have hot flashes. So I was like, nah, I'm not getting any hot flashes. And then I got my first one. I was like, listen, Lord, we got to talk. I was already told that this is not going to happen.
Right. Genetically, you're thinking my mom didn't have it. So it's going to
But the Holy Spirit said, watch, change your diet. You'll see a difference. And it was a big part was my diet.
Okay.
I changed
so
my diet and they died down.
in order to, what did you have to eliminate?
I just had to eat healthier. And I think a big part of it was inflammatory foods, which, I mean, the list is so long.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Anytime I'm eating a lot of wheat in my life, I know that life is going to be disruptive.
Okay.
Right?
Well, this is good to know. Good to know.
I had to make changes to my diet. I increased my water intake. That made a big difference. The funny thing is, because my mom didn't experience it, she likes to tease me. So I'll go to visit her because she lives out of town. She's like, you having one now? You having one? And she calls them the flashes. You having one of the flashes now? And I'm like, listen, woman, I love you now. But this is not something to be, don't be playing with me about this.
That's the same. Well, my mom, she might, how my mom be on the show supporting. So I'm like, yeah. But my mom, anything that's happened to my mom pretty much sometimes happens to me because we are genetically tied, right? So I'll ask her, I'll say, Mom, how did the hot flashes go for you? She said, well, I couldn't take the hormone replacement medicine. And sure enough, I was trying the hormone replacement medicine. And I was like, I don't know that you couldn't take it, but it is doing my life justice. I was so excited about it. Come to find out, it started increasing my blood pressure. And my blood pressure is always so low. So it increased my blood pressure significantly. So I had to stop taking it. And I promise you, it was probably like the week after I stopped taking it, I immediately started getting hot flashes. I was like, I need that medicine.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I want to start a fan ministry at church. Because I usually walk with a fan in the summer, but there's never been a time in my life where I thought I might need one in the winter. And this is the first time I've ever been to a church where they actually know what heat is. Whereas normally I'm used to being cold in church. So I'm like, not only do you have it a comfortable temperature, but my concept of comfortable changes from minute to minute. So now that you got it warm enough, it's too warm for what's going on in my life right now.
That's funny. Everything that you've said I can relate to. And it would almost be like a comedy or a skit for women that are menopausal or premenopausal. Well, I think I'm menopausal because I'm in my 50s at this point. All I wanted to do is just go away. And I'm claiming in the name of Jesus, because that's who I pray about. And two, I need reprieve, rest, some resolve. You say, Lord, it's by your stripes that we're healed. So I'm claiming healing over.
We need to pray over that cool of the day scripture and make it, we need some cool of the day up in our lives.
You say some cool of the day in our life.
Yeah.
I like that. Cool of the day.
Because I'm telling you, when it comes, and I've had friends who are like, I don't know what it's like. And I'm like, I said, I want to crawl out of my skin. Like, it's uncomfortable. It's just hard to explain.
Yes, it really is. It really is. But anybody in the studio audience that can relate to what we're talking about, put some fire. Put some fire emojis in the comment section. Put some fire emojis in the comment section. If you can relate to these hot flashes that well, not everybody, because Sharon over there didn't have to experience this. So
bless the
it's a
Lord.
blessed girl. You blessed and highly favored. You blessed and highly favored over there.
She got the cool of the day spirit on her.
But anybody else that can relate in the studio audience, put in the comments section your experience with hot flashes. Are you in your own personal furnace? Personal. I feel like I'm being put in the furnace and being stoked with like somebody stoking me in there and making sure that the flames get higher and higher. I'm telling you, and I'm big on not putting stuff out into the atmosphere, because then it seems like you're going to call it into existence, into your life. But I don't want to suffer silently over it.
Well, we got to talk about it. I mean, even you, at one point you said whether you're perimenopausal, menopausal, I'm like, we don't even know what's what. My understanding is menopause is once you've not had a period for a year. Everything else is perimenopause, right? So I'm like, but that could be a 10-year period. I'm like, see that? No, why are we having a 10-year period of like this roller coaster? Because one of the things I experience in perimenopause is what I like to call random bouts of crustiness. And I'm a happy person. So when I get a wave of these, I'll be at church and I'm thinking, why is she wearing that? Why he look like that? Why are they singing like that? Why are they smiling like that? And I'm smiling on my face, but in my head, I'm questioning everything because everything's working my nerves. And it's so against who I am because I'm a chipper, happy person. So I just have to like weather those random storms of just feeling like everything's annoying. And I'm like, this is not cool. Not cool. Yeah. Hello, lady.
Cassandra is on, and Cassandra, just so you all know, she is a woman of many, many hats, and she is a pastor's wife, a mom. She's in law school. She works with the Kim Jacobs Show backstage. A lot of stuff that you all see, she's on it. She said, hello, ladies, in the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus. Yeah. And she also hashtag cool of the day. Cool. She said, personally, she said that it's like fire shut up in her bones.
At least we can laugh about it. At least we have our senses of humor, right?
Yeah. So this was a good kickoff to the topics.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for appeasing me and allowing me to use my cloth. I got my church cloth, y'all. Okay, I need something.
Listen, I don't go to church without a water bottle now. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. I need to remember to bring my fan in the winter, though.
Yeah, we have fans at the church that I come to a lot, but I'm telling you, I see you said, Sherry, you said, yes, some fire emojis. You can get it. You can understand the Transformer Hill, Sherry, the Transformer Hill. Glad to have you all on. Woo, okay. What we're going to do is we're going to take a commercial break. And since Sharon, you were able to remain so silent during this particular topic, we're going to start with you as far as what you'd like to talk to us about today. So we'll be right back right after this commercial break, and we're going to hear from Sharon D. Brown, self-carepreneur expert. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Kim Jacobs, the Managing Director of the Charlotte, North Carolina chapter of eWomen Network. I am so excited that you stopped to watch this video. I've got good news for you. You've just discovered an international network of women entrepreneurs who are committed to helping you achieve, succeed, and prosper. We're on a mission here to help 1 million women entrepreneurs each achieve $1 million in annual revenue. Here at eWomen Network, we have a complete success system that supports you every step of the way in building and growing your business. You being here right now is no accident. We're supposed to know about you. We want to meet you to find out how we can help you as well as learn about what you have to offer. With over 500,000 women connected through 118 chapters across the United States, Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom, you are never alone. If this is resonating with you, please go to ewomennetwork.com/Charlotte. Notice too my contact information. I invite you to reach out to me and to check out our upcoming in-person and online events. I'm really looking forward to introducing you to our special community.
right, everyone. We are back. And again, I'm actually the new manager. I'm the managing director in Charlotte, North Carolina with eWomen Network. And I'm super excited to be able to invite you to two of our upcoming events. One is happening on March 21st, and it's going to be at the Charlotte Museum of History. And actually, our speaker is pastor. I found out she's a pastor, Pastor Juanita Corey Jackson. And she's going to talk to us about how we are born to live uncommon. So I put the registration link right there in the comment section, and I'm excited about her being our speaker. And then also we have our 15th annual summit that's coming up with Sandra Yancey, our founder. She's a CNN hero, and she's also a business executive that's done tremendous consulting with places like IBM, Dell, you name it. And she's going to be coming to Charlotte, North Carolina to speak on April 30th for our Women's Success Summit. And actually for that, she's going to talk to us about how to unlock some success secrets for our business. So both of those links are right there in the comment section. You can go ahead and take a moment to register, and we'll look forward to seeing you if you're anywhere in the Charlotte or surrounding areas. All right, let's get ready to talk to you, Sharon D. Brown. Take it away.
Yeah. And so again, everyone, my name is Sharon D. Brown, and I am a self-carepreneur. And pretty much what that is I'm an entrepreneur who specializes in self-care and helping individuals to be successful, not only in business, but also in life, because we really can't, separate the two, no matter what we do. And so today, what I want to talk about is one aspect of self-care. And I have like 4 pillars of self-care, which I talked about on the show one time before. And one of the ones I want to go deeper in is self-awareness. And so with self-awareness, that's that self-discovery. Because one thing that I've discovered as a therapist is that what I've seen is that we never really been taught, a whole lot about self-care and what that means for ourselves, but also just in studying ourselves. We're always studying things outside of ourselves, but not of ourselves and through ourselves and within ourselves. And so, again, I want to talk, kind of dive a little deeper of what self-discovery is, especially as that being a part of self-care, and then also that self-awareness, because the more that you are aware of every aspect of yourself, then you will be able, even sometimes some wounds that you may not even be aware of. So those things that you may need healing from, a lot of times they can dissipate and just erase from us purposely. And sometimes, again, because we have so much stuff that be inside of us that we don't even know what's going on, that it will help with that. Did you want me to dive deeper within that, or you just wanted me to know? Wanted to know what I was talking about.
I'm over here like taking notes myself. So all I know is that whatever direction you go in as the expert here on our Freestyle Friday is great. You can allow time. If people want to ask questions, feel free to pop them up in the comment section. Chime in and be an active participant. And right now, she's already said self-awareness, self-discovery is very important. Let's talk more about that.
Yeah. And so with self-awareness, again, it's self-discovery, taking the time for you to dive deep within yourself. And one thing that I've noticed is us as humans, we spend so much time, and I understand why, because especially as being servants, it's about giving. But we also would need to give within ourselves, because if we don't, believe me, our well will really run dry. And so in taking the time, or whatever is your time that you have in taking care of yourself, and especially in self-reflection, whether it's in the morning or in the evening, but it is a must, because it's kind of like with our being, kind of look at yourself as the universe, but you are the captain, and the CEO of this universe. But if you're not learning about yourself, you will get left behind. And then also the way that our inner being operate, when we're not paying attention to ourselves, we don't know ourselves. And then it's almost like telling yourself that you don't matter and you're not enough. And then you're not able to see the magnificent parts of ourselves. I think sometimes that's why we may have a hard time with compliments and someone saying, "Oh, you did a good job." And then somebody may think, "Oh, they're full of themselves." And like if you say, "Oh, yeah, I know." We need to hear that from ourselves. Yeah, I know I did a good job. Sometimes we be modest. Oh, well, thank you. But there are times we really need to say, yeah, I know. I know I'm the bomb. I know I'm the boss, And so with that self-discovery, that's really important. The other part of self-discovery, because it's really good to be able to acknowledge and see the wonderful parts of ourselves, but it's also those parts of ourselves that doesn't feel so good, sometimes they can come from trauma, they can come from wounds and scars, and sometimes we have invisible scars that we may not be aware of. Like for myself, I didn't know, I didn't find out probably, I would just say just a few years ago of like the impact of not having a father in my life. Because sometimes we think, like even though I would say, yeah, I lived a good life and I was able to go into school and graduate and have a really good career in mental health, but it wasn't until later in life that I discovered like, oh, it did play a part, on me. And that wasn't until I started doing, this self-care journey, and started going deeper within myself. And even though I wasn't looking for that, but that's what came out. And so in saying that, when we don't know certain things about ourselves, you know how we say, oh, yeah, we have these childhood experiences that can impact and we be, like adults, but we have childhood, kind of like characteristics that happens. And so in saying that, certain aspects of ourselves get stuck. And so in adulthood, we really play out and we seek out, even on an unconscious level, something that we want or didn't get as a child. But as adults, we got to work on that, because some kind of way it will implode or explode, or we get attached or connected to people, places, or things that are not in alignment with our divine assignment. And so we want to make sure that we're continually not just pouring into ourselves, but because again, a part of self-discovery, a part of self-care, a part of self-reflective is to look at every part of ourselves, and also the part of ourselves of the part that we played even in, I guess you say, in things that may not have been so pleasant. Because going back to me not having a father, it played a major role of, I guess you say, of the relationships that I've had with men. Not to say that they were terrible men or this and that and the other, but there were certain characteristics of them that wasn't, I would say, good for me. But I needed the experience so that I can unlock and release the part of me that wasn't cared for my father, so I can do for myself. So that's another reason to be able to have, that self-reflection, because believe me, when we don't, life will find a way to make it come to the surface. And there's just certain experiences you just don't want to have. You know what I'm saying? There's just certain experience. However, those experiences at the same time helps prepare you for future experiences. So you have, you'll be able to develop, especially when you're more intentional about it. I always say at the time, you may not know what's going on, but that's the magic of reflecting, because you can reframe things where it's in your best interest. As the little saying goes, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you, when it comes to all of that. And just to make sure that I'm pointing out certain things, let me just make sure, because again, when it comes to self-reflection and be able to dig deep, it allows you to navigate your emotions as well, and allows you to break old patterns. And within that, you're looking at, your insights and experiences, and it also can prevent you from being stagnated, because sometimes we can be stuck in a pattern and we don't even know why. We can have a fear, let's say, of speaking in public or in doing some certain things. I like to call it, we have those soft and hard stops, like we're going towards something, but like, oh no, I'm coming back around, and I ain't doing that, whatever that may be. But a lot of times they really do come from, and when we say childhood experiences, it may not be the experience in and of itself, because it could be something that you didn't have. So it's almost like you experience not having something. So that's the other thing too. And along with saying that, when you're able to sit with yourself, and sometimes the sit itself may not be pleasant, and you will have to decide whether or not is it something that needs to be addressed in therapy. Some things do, and some things do not. And even though I am a therapist, however, I am, because of what I've discovered, over the years, is that self-care is really important. And so I feel like the work that you do outside of therapy is just as important, because we're outside of therapy more than we're inside of therapy. So it's up to you to decide sometimes of either how deep that you may need to go. And sometimes it can be too much where you do need a therapist to help you process it. And I will also say, along with that, what I've learned is having embodiment practices, whether it's inside or outside of therapy, is very beneficial, because when it comes to processing the emotions, it's not just about talking about it, because of what it does to your entire system. So in saying that, I have developed a journal to help you dive deep with that. And it's called the Self-Care Is Reflective Journal. It's an ebook that you can download, and then it helps you to pretty much go, I kind of call 3 to 5 levels, because it's like when you're sitting with yourself, just when you say like self-discovery, like for everybody, self-discovery means something different. But when you really sit down with it and I always say, ask yourself 3 times, what does self-discovery mean? Then write that down. Then ask yourself again, what does self-discovery mean? And then write that down. And then ask yourself again, what does it mean? And then each time you ask yourself that, and even though I went through it, kind of quickly here, but when you're doing it on your own, allow time to slip by, whether it's, I would say that maybe the first time, maybe a minute or 2, but I said probably minimally 3 minutes, because it allows you to really sit with it and go within yourself. And then after you're able to process some things, and again, you can go 5 levels, meaning do it 2 additional times. And then after that, look at what you wrote down and say, what did I learn about myself? And pick 3 things that really resonate or feel strong, that you feel strong about. Write those 3 things down, highlight them, or however you want to do it. So what did I learn about myself? And then what actions can you take, to pretty much, oh, thank you for that. What action can you take to pretty much help you to integrate that in your life? Because when it comes to deep diving, it's not enough just to have the awareness. It's to take action so that your life can move, because having the awareness of something is just the first part of it. And you're able to, I don't know if they put it out um, in the chat yet, but you're able to click on the link to.
Yes, I put it in. I put it in the chat, and I also went. That's what made me go over to your website. When you were talking, I went over and down. I filled out the questionnaire for me to get my copy. So,
good.
So thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. And again, this is what, self-care, this is what self-discovery, self-reflection, especially self-awareness. And with the journal, what it allows you to do, it already has, like I would say, some initial prompts that's already there. But the thing of it is for you to identify what you want to be able to reflect on. And there's so many, I kind of look at self-care as like, again, it's how they say the world is your playground. It's like the world is all about self-care, because for every experience and moment that we have an interaction with ourselves and others, it really gives you the opportunity to experience life in yourself and to go deep within yourself so you can be better for yourself and for, I guess you could say, be a servant to others. Because when we're not good, we're not going to be able to be a servant for others well either.
Okay. This is incredible information. And William Frey said, thank you so much for, Flay. William Flay said, thank you so much for this information. This is great. What does self-reflection mean to you? Is with someone else? Okay, so what does self-reflection mean? Let me ask a question. I'm going to put it back out like this. And Natasha, feel free to ask any questions you have too. But one thing that came to mind for me, Sharon, first of all, you so much great information. But then I was thinking, there are people that don't embrace what you're saying, because when you, even like I've attempted to use what you said, and I know it works. It's factual. Here it is. You're going to be better if you just listen to Sharon D. Brown, right? But then some people don't think it's anything wrong with how they're currently handling themselves from a self-awareness perspective. They can see the beam in everybody else's eyes, but not anything wrong with me and myself. And even me, myself, I know there's things wrong with me. And other people can see them better than me, but I need to be open-minded to it. But some people are not open-minded. Can you speak to that, please?
Did you want to go first, Natasha, or do you want me to go first?
I can go. Because I mean, I do. I'm a therapist too. It's not comfortable looking at yourself, right? Especially in an age of social media where we're posting our best side, which our best side is not always true, because how many, I post a picture online. I went through 40 selfies before I selected sometimes the one that I post. Because sometimes when I'm trying to post, I feel like I did this. And I just come out looking like I'm making a funny face. Those are not what I usually choose to post. Every once in a while, I'm like, look at this. This is funny. But it's hard to show our not perfect side. And I think when you look online, it looks like everybody's doing the most. So who wants to look at themselves and then feel that we're not? So I have this thing I say always to my clients. When we compare almost all the time from a place of inferiority. So if I'm trying to do self-reflection and I'm using comparison to try to reflect to self, seeing what other people are doing and then what I'm doing, I've already decided I'm less than. And so I'm setting myself up for a painful moment. If we could sit in the discomfort to say, all of us got stuff we don't like, but I'm looking at this because it gives me an opportunity to make change and move forward and improve, that might shift it. And the other thing that I encourage people to do is replace judgment with curiosity. Rather than coming down on yourself for something, what can I learn about myself today? Where are the areas that I feel that I can still improve? And that, to me, that curiosity, it's like taking a stone out of your backpack, and it lightens the load. So I think it is challenging, but it's a skill like many things in life to develop. And one thing that I find fascinating, I teach college students in their last year. Some of my students are in their last year of school. And so I'm talking to them about job readiness. Whenever I ask, what are your strengths? They freeze. And I said, that is an employability skill. You will always be asked what your strengths are. Throw away this notion that you're conceited by being able to look at it. One, if you don't know what your strengths are, you don't know what to build on. If you don't know what your strengths are, you don't know, by opposite, what's not working well that you might have to discard. But it is something that you have to be aware of, but you have to engage in self-reflection to do that.
Wow.
And so even from that perspective, I'm trying to teach people, you have to look at yourself. It's might be uncomfortable, but the more you do it, the more you're just like, okay. And then if you learn, just accept yourself as you are. None of us are perfect.
That's right.
Stop trying to be perfect, because what is perfect?
Right.
Just be you. Yes, there might be things that you want to change, but you can't necessarily be aware of that if you're not looking at yourself. And make it a regular habit. My age will show in this, but I say, think about a tuner radio. So you remember the little lines, and you would turn the dial, and when it came in line, you would move from having static to clarity.
Right.
I said, when you're doing self-reflection, there's static and noise always in life. Get to that point where you get the clarity about understanding something about yourself, and then use those things to build on to move forward.
Wow. I'm so glad that you did take a moment to answer that question from a therapy perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I found something I want to share, but I didn't know if you want to say something first, Sharon. Did you?
You can go ahead. You can go ahead.
When you were talking about putting our best foot forward on social media, Natasha, I went over to my Facebook page, and from my own perspective, I was just putting a moment of raw, real emotion. And this is the picture. I'll put it up. I was laying in my bed and I was crying, and it was just me having a moment, thinking about my son and him not being here on this earth, and how, and that just, as a mom, that makes my soul ache so many times. And so but the social media piece maybe never get to see it or whatever, but I have many moments like that behind closed doors. And I saw so many comments, some of which were so encouraging and inspiring. And then some were like, well, you need to trust God. And so I was like, what?
But you having a real moment doesn't mean you're not trusting God.
Crazy. I do trust God, but I also am still a human, and I know where my son is. I know he's in heaven. I know he's safe and sound. I'm not confused about any of that. But do I still cry and have moments where I'm just on the floor sometimes, or in the bed, and I'm just like laying there by myself, just reflecting and thinking of having somebody in my life for 12 years walking on this earth and seeing him develop into his character. Anyway, I just said that to say, Natasha, that sometimes when we do put our other side of ourselves on Facebook, you can seriously expect that you're going to get a lot of encouragement and you're going to get a lot of judgment. So,
yeah. And that's part of why too, sometimes people don't want to do it. Right. But I encourage people to think about whatever people say tells you more about them than it tells you about you. So if they're coming to judge, that just tells you they can go with their crusty selves, because that's about what they need to work out in their lives.
Yeah. Just right now, I was just finding the picture. And when I was going to find the picture, it did nothing to me to find the picture. But then when I pulled it up just now, it immediately, I have pain in my chest. So I can't even predict what emotion or trigger is going. It's bizarre. I can't even describe it to you. I can't.
Well, thank you for your
transparency. What's going to happen?
Yeah, appreciate you sharing that, and I'm glad that you did go before me, because it helped me kind of tie in to what I was about to say. In that, like when it comes to us and that self-reflection, I think just like we as humans, like we don't want to see ourselves, like as anyone weak or with deficits or not good at something. And so I think it's just kind of like just a human default. I'm saying default, but deficit that we don't want to see, so we don't go to look. It's almost kind of like when it comes to feedback and criticism.
Right.
And one of the things, and I'm working on even with myself, is accepting those things and then looking at those things. And then also too, when someone sees someone else in distress and they're saying those things as if, you can't experience it, generally it's hard for humans to be able to even have the emotional space to be able to have space for someone when it comes to that. So in saying that, when it comes to self-reflection, that's why self-reflection is so important, so that we can look at ourselves and say, hey, what do I need to work on? How can I get better? I'm like this. I'm really good at a lot of things. I know a lot of things, but there's somebody out there who's better than me, but I'm not good at every single thing. And
Yeah.
even though I'm a therapist, there's still certain things that I'm not, it's just by being a human that it can be a lot, you know what I'm saying? And so that's another reason for self-care, so that I can have the emotional capacity, one, for myself, and to be able to support someone else and not feel like that somebody else, or not doing, not being judgmental on others. So again, if people are saying that they are a servant, and they are especially a servant of God, in doing that is looking at every aspect of yourself and continue to improve, because again, when you don't, you can be really damaging other people and not knowing it, because you're not even looking at yourself. Doesn't mean something's quote unquote wrong with you,
Right.
but you can be better.
This is great. Thank you. How do people stay connected with you? I've put it in the comments section, but I want people to hear it directly from you as well.
Yeah. The best way to stay connected with me is through Instagram with I am Sharon D. Brown. Again, Instagram, I am Sharon D. Brown.
All right. Y'all make sure that you stay connected and make sure that you get that ebook that Sharon is offering. I've already downloaded mine. We're going to go right over here to Natasha Halliday. How are you, Natasha?
Like I said, I'm fantastic. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. I am so grateful that the two of you are here today and can't wait to hear what you want to share with us from a mental health perspective. Mental health matters, everyone. So that's why I always keep bringing Natasha on. So go ahead, talk to us.
So today I'm going to talk about, I think it's the very first topic I spoke about on the show, which was unmasking fear. What I like to call unmasking fear. I love to talk to people about how we experience fear and what we do with it. And the reason I talk about what I call unmasking fear, it's the idea that fear disguises itself. So sometimes I know I'm scared and I can say I feel fearful, and I can look at what am I going to do based on that. But I'm going to tell a quick story to show one of the ways I really started to examine how fear hides itself. Few years ago, when I was working with some people, they're like, you got to, show people that you do public speaking, get on Facebook Live and do that. And I was like, no, I'm a social person. I can't talk into a screen where I can't see other people. At least Zoom, you see other faces. And I had all these reasons, and I had really logical arguments. I thought I was being rational and logical, and I kept hearing it from different people. And I finally said, okay, I was going to do it. And that's when I felt the fear in my body. And I was like, oh boy, all my pretty arguments was fear. And fear just dressed up in a prettier outfit. And I think this is what happens with fear, is it disguises itself under masks of things that are more palpable to receive. If I tell myself I'm being logical, I can deal with that. If I tell myself I'm being rational, I can deal with that. Responsible, if I have an obligation to do something, it's much easier to then do or don't do based on that thought and feeling. But what happens when it's really fear underlying it, and fear is just hiding itself under those words? And so the idea of unmasking fear is if we can take the mask off to see it's really fear, but we've got to be, this is again why self-awareness, self-reflection is so important. I wasn't aware that I was scared to do it because I was afraid of tripping up and messing up. And I think my first Facebook Live was maybe 7.5 minutes. I could go Facebook Live now for an hour unscripted, probably. I'm on people's podcasts. I'm doing way more public speaking, but I had to confront the fear in order to deal with it. So I love bringing that to people's attention because a lot of us know, I'm afraid of heights. I'm afraid of snakes. I'm afraid of spiders. And we have these things we're willing to admit our fear, but what happens to all the areas that we don't know are fear, right? That happened to me when I wanted to buy a house. Well, the responsible thing to do is save more money. Girl, do you know what the mortgage rate and the prices of houses are doing while you saving all this money? It doesn't make sense when they're going up, right? Because now you need a bigger down payment. It doesn't make sense. But again, it was fear finding a way to tell me, well, just girl, do the responsible thing. Keep saving money. Keep doing this. And I didn't realize. And so I really started to dig into this idea of what happens when fear is masking itself. And so I wanted to, I with the letters from fear, I always say to tell people, fear causes us to flee so we can run away from something. We can evaluate, and evaluation is not a bad thing, but if we evaluate to the point of immobility, it can become a bad thing. If we continue to ask questions and not launch into action, that may not serve us. It can definitely cause us to avoid, and it can cause us to rationalize beyond what's necessary. And again, that can move us into a place of immobility. So when you think fear, think flee, evaluate, avoid, and rationalize. Are you doing any of those things? That might be your clue. It's fear. When your brain is telling you, I'm just really angry right now. Are you angry, or is it really fear hiding under a different word that you for some reason find more acceptable? Are you think the different things that come up. One of my favorites was, practically speaking, yeah, fear. So now I'm at the point now where these words will come up in my head. I'm like, girl, that's fear. Girl, that's fear. Girl, that's fear. See how you're fleeing. See how you're evaluating past what's necessary. See you're avoiding. That's fear, right? So we have to look at that. But how then, what do we do when we realize we're feeling fearful? If we pull the mask off, if we unmask the fear, what are we going to do? Well, you have to admit the limit that fear is causing. Often fear limits us from doing things. Name it and call it as it is. Call it fear. Change it from if it was obligation, rationalization, whatever was coming up. If you were saying this is the logical thing to do, but it's really fear, call it out. Rename it from logic to fear. So that's the unmasking too, right? And then stop feeding fear. We feed fear by engaging in thoughts that contribute to how fearful we feel. And really, when we argue with ourselves that we're being logical, what we're doing is going through all these so-called logical thoughts and the rationalizing. The rationalizing is a big part of feeding the fear. Because it was like when I thought about going live on Facebook, I'm like, listen, guys, I can't be my authentic self if I'm not engaged with people. I'm social. I need to this. And it sounded good, but I was lying to myself. I was so I was scared. I was just totally lying to myself. And it took me a while to realize that. It wasn't until I felt it in my body that I realized, oh, no, there's something going on up here that my body finally had to give me the cue because I wasn't getting the message from my mind, right? So stop feeding the fear. Cut it off at the source. Think about the fact that fear is fueled by our thoughts. So what thoughts can we need to stop engaging in to stop entertaining it? And I do this externalization exercise with my clients. I ask them to think about a thought that they don't want to engage in. If that came to your door and knocked on your door. So Kim, if you don't mind, can we demonstrate this?
You know what? I was hoping. I didn't want to interrupt. I was like,
oh God, no. I love to do things. Think about name one thought you have that you don't like to have.
One thought that I have that I don't want to have.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. A thought that I have. And Sharon, if you have one that came to mind quicker, say it.
Yeah, I'm thinking too.
And please, in the studio audience, Vicki, you're one of our Freestyle Friday experts too. Put a thought that you all have in the studio audience, and then Natasha's going to help us role play through it. But a thought that we don't want to have.
Am I a good enough mother?
Am I a good enough mother? Mackenzie said.
Okay, so I'm going to pretend that's Kim's thought, and we're going to demonstrate this. So I'm knocking.
No, I don't have that thought.
No, we're going to
really
pretend
like,
just for the
mom.
role play. We're going to pretend
Okay.
for the role play, okay? Because I'm going to do it with you because Mackenzie's not in there. So I'm knocking at the door, and you look through the people, and you see that standing outside that door is, am I a good enough mother? Do you open the door?
No, we're not going to open this door because we're going to fight against this and know that I know I'm doing the right thing by these kids.
Right.
But the answer is, let me go
Hi,
back.
hi,
Now
Kim. Come on now. I need to come in and talk to you, girl. Can we just have a chat about, are we a good enough mother?
Well, okay. I'll open the door a crack because there are many times that I do question some things. I'm like, okay, what's making me not be a good enough mother?
So, girl, I've been wondering, am I a good enough mother? Am I putting my kids in all the right activities? Have I, have I done all the things that I could do? Do I select the right extracurricular activities? Am I reading the Bible enough with my kids? All these types of questions that might come up as a part of this question of, am I a good enough mother?
Yes.
The more we have that dialogue, and it's unintentional. That's why I like to tell people, think about it like something physically coming to your door. Because if we had thoughts we don't want to work with at our door, we don't realize how often we invite them in, sit them down, make them tea, give them a piece of cake, and we hang out with these thoughts that do not serve us.
Yeah. Well, now that you said this, and now that Mackenzie typed it, I definitely have that thought sometimes. So I can go back and course correct and say, sometimes I'm talking to myself in the kitchen by myself, but I guess I've opened the door because I'm like, no, I taught them better than this. And you're going to tell me that what I thought I was doing wasn't working. So who am I talking to? I'm talking to the open door that you're talking about.
Right. And so I get people too, especially depending on what their learning style is. For some, like as kinesthetic learners, I'm a kinesthetic learner. I'm very hands-on. This works very well for me because I can totally picture and imagine engaging in this dialogue. And it makes me realize what's happening in my thought process. Because if we're not aware of it, this is happening in our thought process. The thoughts come, we're having a back and forth dialogue, or we're at least listening to this unhealthy thought go on and on and on. And what we need to do is say, shut up, get out. You ain't welcome here. Now we need to get them out the door, bolt the door, put like extra bolts on the door. Because if what we don't realize sometimes is we're like, we might open the door, go, I don't want to let you in. But what if we walk away and we don't secure the door and it creeps back in? Yes. Right. So I kind of try to imagine different scenarios because I look at how are the different ways some of these thoughts have infiltrated my thinking. Right. So now I literally ask myself, what thoughts am I entertaining? Have I welcomed a thought in? Have I sat it down? Have I made it a cup of tea? Am I having a little tea party or coffee date with a thought that I don't want to have? Yeah. And it's become so powerful. I remember I was entertaining a thought that I shouldn't have. And I dreamt that I woke up in the middle of the night, walked down my stairs, and my front door was open a crack. And I just went, thank you, Lord. I'm entertaining a thought I shouldn't.
That you shouldn't. And Vicky,
I had to examine my thoughts.
And read Vicky's comment too.
I love that. I try not to entertain fear. I use affirmations daily. Yes.
That's she also said that.
Thought I'm gonna fail. I don't like that thought. Yeah. And the thing is, when the thought creeps in, we don't necessarily notice. And that's why I like to have people thinking about if it was something physical at your door, it would be so much easier to recognize and go, no, we ain't hanging out. But when it creeps into our thought process, we don't notice. And of course, it's as soon as you notice, you then shut down the thought. You may not notice at the very moment it pops up, but as soon as you notice, you tell that thought, get out. I ain't having you. You come get the strong armed men and you deport to get that thought out of your house. Get that thought out of your mind. And sometimes people are like, but how? Mm-hmm. Intentionally replacing it with another thought. Because if I tell you not to look up, now you're thinking, what's up there? I want to look up. Right? So sometimes by just telling yourself, don't think it, it doesn't work. But if I intentionally replace a thought I don't want to have with a thought that serves me well and keep putting my time in rehearsing that thought, it's going to quiet that other thought too. So get it out and then choose to have the company that you want to have. What are the thoughts you do want to entertain? As a Christian, I have to use scripture sometimes to do that. I might have to recite scripture or read it in to go, what does God say about who I am when my silly thoughts are trying to tell me something different, when it's trying to contradict who God of the universe says that I am. So listen, petty thoughts, you got to shut up. The word of God says this. So sometimes that's what I do, right? And Vicky talked about affirmations. What statements can you make that shut those thoughts down, that counteract those thoughts? So if it's a fear-based thought, right? Especially once you uncover it's been disguising itself as something else, and you recognize, no, it's really fear, then what steps are you going to use to shut it down, right? So like I said, you're admitting the limit, you're naming, you're calling it out. You recognize because it's fueled by our thoughts. Check if you're entertaining thoughts that don't serve you, that are fear-based. And then shut down those thoughts, replace those thoughts with thoughts that do serve you. I get riled up. I'm all excited now because I'm like, I feel like I want to
so excited. I'm having another hot flash. So
I know I can't get myself too excited.
This is awesome. Awesome.
But yes. So the last thing that I want to say about dealing with fear, and it's again with the letters of fear, face it, explore it. And when I say explore it, examine maybe where it came from, examine why it's something that you're experiencing. Understand a little bit, because in the understanding, it might be some of what gives you tools on how to deal with it. Accept it. Instead of just being angry at yourself for feeling fear, accept that you felt the fear so that you can, okay, it's done. I felt it. Now what am I doing to move on? And reframe it. So 2 things I like to say for our rise above it, but also reframe it. By reframe it, give it a different context. If you've understood it one way and that there was a distortion with that, how else can you understand it that's going to serve you better? That's right? Good. If you fear not being a good enough mom, why don't you validate that? That makes sense. Every mother probably questions it at least once in their life. It's actually your desire to be a good mom that makes you question it. But you don't want to stay in that space of questioning it. You accept that you had that thought. You continue to look at, what am I doing to be a good mother? And then look at, what are the things that I want to do that I believe make me a good mother?
That's good.
And you give it a different context and you move on.
Well, I ended up typing some of the stuff you said so I was over here still typing. Okay, Natasha Halliday, how do people stay connected with you?
So my socials, I'm at Natasha A. Halliday on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. That's how people can find me.
All right. Y'all had some great comments and questions and all kinds of great participation has happened. So thank you all so much. In the studio audience, I saw a niece that came in, and she said, okay, yeah, let me
Brandy.
go back for 1 second, Mackenzie, to Brandy's comment, please, first. And then let's see. She said, hello, everyone, and a special hello to my Aunt Sharon. I love you and love your words of wisdom. She typed it again. She's like, I know Kim is hosting the show and can see my comment. So she put it again. She said, hi, everyone, and a special hello to my Aunt Sharon D. Brown. Love you and love your words of wisdom. She's like, I know somebody better put this up. So also I want to make sure that so you want to say something, Sharon?
Oh, I just was going to say thank you so much, Brandy, and love you too.
Yeah.
And I saw, Kim, that Mackenzie put a note about the TikTok.
Yes. I'm going to address that too. Vicky L. Evans said the Bible tells us to mourn when others mourn. To tell someone to just trust God when they are mourning is contrary to his instructions in the word. Because when they're mourning, we should be showing support in the process of their mourning. And I see everyone is saying they're enjoying today's Freestyle Friday episode. Mackenzie, if you would, right for our last few minutes here, pull yourself in. People, hey, beautiful ladies, I see your comment. People have been talking a lot about this TikTok ban that's possibly happening. We know that there's still some time yet for it to come to full fruition, but Mackenzie is our backstage representative with the Kim Jacobs Show. She's going to tell us like a 2-minute rundown of this whole TikTok game. Go ahead, Mackenzie.
I love her little ones piping in too.
And she's a mom of a
Basically, they're concerned about Americans' like safety and tracking and everything. But what doesn't make sense about that is Facebook and Instagram both do the same thing. Like, have you noticed, like, if you say, I want to get this or I want this for dinner, you suddenly see ads for all of that on your Facebook or Instagram, like all your social media platforms. It's not just TikTok that does that. So if they're wanting to get one apple, they'd have to get all the apples. Anyway, so they put it to the House of Representatives, and the House of Representatives passed. So now it has to go to Congress or Senate. I don't remember which one. And then the president has to sign off on it. But I think what they're trying to do is have the U.S., like someone like maybe Elon Musk that bought Twitter, buy part of TikTok, if not TikTok, so people are still able to use it. Because if not, Americans are going to be losing a lot of income. Like there is a lot of people that have boutiques or businesses that sell products on TikTok and get all kinds of business on it that will be losing that money. So yeah, it might not be like the best, but Facebook has a marketplace. I think you can buy stuff on Instagram. TikTok's the same way, where you can buy, like I got this hoodie off of it. You can buy like all kinds of stuff off TikTok, and it would not only be hurting Americans, but it would be hurting like the economy in America too, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So this is Mackenzie's take on things. And thank you so much for sharing it, because I was reading on CNN, and I'll put that article as well. They say that many of the roughly 170 million Americans who use this app have raised concerns that banning TikTok could mean doing away with a platform that represents so much more than a platform, where young people get to kind of follow all of these different things. Right now, the vote was 352 affirmative and 65 dissenting against it. So I'm going to put the article that goes into a lot more detail right in the comments section. Did anybody else have a comment that they want to say pertaining to the TikTok ban? And in the studio audience, put your comment as well. Anybody?
I'm just going to say I agree with Mackenzie with the idea that because these algorithms already exist in Facebook and Instagram that have been around much longer, like, how is that the argument for why they want to ban it?
Well, we can keep this discussion going very thoroughly, and we'll carry it right over to Facebook. So if you have any comments or any thoughts, feel free to put those comments in the comment section. I do want to thank you, Mackenzie, for coming back from backstage to do that. And I also wanted just a quick shout out to Cassandra Davis. It is her birthday this past week, and I am super excited because she's one of our team members. And I want to just pop a few pictures up to say happy birthday to you, Cassandra, who you all don't get to see her as much as you get to see Mackenzie, but she works backstage. Happy birthday. Can anybody sing over there? Are any of you all singers?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
You got to say a lot more than that, or you're going to throw me out there to make a non-juror voice.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
And many more. Happy birthday, Cassandra Davis. And if you all want to do something for her birthday, one thing I'll tell you is to just stay connected with her. I'm going to put it in the comment section, and we're getting ready to close out on this note, but I want to let you know that you can stay connected with Lady Cassandra Davis. She is the pastor's wife at Servant Church in North Carolina. That's servantnc.church. You can email her at cassandra@servantnc.church and stay connected with her. She has a wonderful conference that's coming up and I think it's April 20th, if I'm not mistaken. So go and register for the conference. It's going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we are looking forward to so many women sitting around the table. That would be a huge birthday blessing to her if you all go ahead and register for the conference. Any closing comments, Sharon or Natasha or Mackenzie? We're going to close out.
I'm just going to say pretty much when it comes to self-care, just remember everything that you do, you're either doing for yourself or not for yourself when it comes to your divine assignment. And if anything, you are the assignment. It's not just what you're doing.
That's good. Anybody? Any other closing comments?
I'm just going to say in terms of, if there's things that you want to do that you're not doing, ask yourself this fear behind that. And then take some steps to move past that fear.
Ask yourself the spirit behind it. All right. And you have a comment? Anything you want to say, Mackenzie? Okay. I want to tell everybody, please, if you would, please keep this gentleman in prayer. I've tried to find a picture online, but this is Mark Coleman. He fought in 26 UFC fights during his career, but he is now battling for his own life after attempting to rescue. He attempted and succeeded in rescuing his parents, but his dog, obviously, he was not able to save. But I just want to make sure that we all keep him and his family in prayer. He is in the hospital recovering and praying to God that he makes a full recovery. I just want to make sure that we pray for even celebrity people that are out here that are battling different situations. All right, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. We'll see you again on Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take it away, Mackenzie. Thank you, experts. Thank you, studio audience. Love you all.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show and for being in the virtual studio audience. Your presence truly does make a difference, and I look forward to you bringing your friends and family to join you in the virtual studio audience Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I look forward to seeing you and make it a great day.